Let's look at this one. Consider the system of two linear equations and PQR are real numbers. Which of the following definitely contradicts the given facts? Definitely contradicts the fact that the two lines are representing the coinciding lines. Coinciding lines means what? One line is lying over the other line. So the preliminary condition that we all are aware about is 3 divided by Q must be equals to 21 divided by R must be equals to P divided by minus of 7. This should be the idea for the coincident lines. Now, let me take that number as K. If this number becomes equals to K. Now, you have to look at these. P and Q signs is what they are talking about. R and Q signs they are talking about. P cannot take the value 0 is what they are talking about. So, I'm looking at P and Q and R as the values and trying to understand this. Now, let's think about it. If K becomes a positive number, there are two possibilities. K is a positive number or K is a negative number, right? Now, if K happens to be a positive number, then the value of P has to be what? Ultimately, P by minus 7 should turn out to be a positive number. So P must be a negative number. What happens to Q and R? Q and R must be positive numbers. Q and R must be positive numbers. So this is one idea that we have. The second is if K is a negative number, then the value of P must be what? P must be positive. And what happens to the values of Q and R? Q and R must turn out to be negative numbers, right? Now, let's go back and evaluate the options given to you, that which one of the following it has to definitely contradict, right? P and Q must have opposite signs. If I look at P and Q in either of our situation, they have the opposite sign. So this statement is true. It does not contradict the fact that these two lines must be coinciding lines. R and Q must be of the same sign. Look at R and Q in both these situations. This should be the value R. R and Q both must be of the same sign. This is also true. Now look at P cannot be 0. Look at the last one once. If P becomes 0, then what will happen? 21 by R should become 0. Now that becomes a problem. That is not possible because 21 by R, 21 divided by any value of R, it will not give you 0, right? Howsoever large that value may be, it will be closer to 0, but it cannot be made 0, right? So this is a statement P cannot be 0 is a true statement, right? Now we are left with comparing the values of P, Q and R and P, Q and R over here elsewhere. Which of the following definitely contradicts? Understand that thing, right? Now, if P is negative and Q and R are positive, if I look at this comparison, I definitely know that P is the lowest number. The other two numbers is what I need to figure out. Now go back to this ratio. I'm saying Q and R are positive numbers. 3 by Q is equals to 21 by R, right? So what is Q by R? Q by R is turning out to be 3 by 21, correct? This very clearly indicates that if Q and R are positive number, Q has to be a lesser number and R has to be a greater number. So it will be Q over here, it will be R over here. So R will be the largest number. That's the first statement if K is positive. If K is negative, then P turns out to be the largest number because Q and R are negative numbers. So P is the largest number. Now you need to compare the values of Q and R. Once again, Q and R, the ratio is going to remain 3 by 21 only, right? Now, if Q and R are negative numbers, then Q will become the larger number. Suppose Q take a minus 3, then R has to take what? Minus 21. Now minus 21 is what? Lower than the value of R. So R will be a lower number and Q will be a greater number. So these are the two situations that we have if we want to compare P, Q and R. Now which of the following definitely contradicts? Look at this. The smallest of P, Q and R is R. In one of these situations, R is the smallest. So it does not definitely contradict the fact. It can be true, it can be false, but it does not definitely contradict. Look at the value thing given in the option C. The largest among P, Q and R is Q. The largest among P, Q and R is Q. Is largest Q possible ever? No. This is the statement that is definitely contradicting the fact that these two given lines are coinciding, and hence option C should be the answer to this question.